Okay, so this game is Fossil. It's a open information, pure Euro game. Got the little wooden blocks. Very, very pretty pieces in my mind, especially if you assemble them together as a puzzle, which has nothing to do with the game itself. The premise is that you're hunting fossils. I'm not sure what the theme has to do with the mechanism at all. Essentially, first, the last player, in this case will be the white player, I play, as with everything, counterclockwise instead of clockwise. So we're going to start off with the green player. The person who's going to go last gets to place these two pebbles. And you can place them on any fossils. It's a completely calculable game in terms of how much can you get for your value, what can the next player get, but that would be a great deal of complexity. For some reason, I'm just going to say this off the bat, I remember this game sticking out, and I really liked it. Now, it may just be the visuals of these pieces, because after having read the rules and having, and I had even rated it poorly on the Geek, I can't see anything about the game that attracted it to me, but it stuck in my mind, so I picked up a used copy of it, I don't know, for less than shipping, but okay. So, you randomly set up all these pieces at the beginning of the game, and everybody starts with 30 points, fame points as it were. In the 2 or 3 player game, you play with a smaller set of fossils, some of which aren't even complete, on a smaller, somewhat smaller board. Okay. So what do you do? Well, the goal is to collect sets of fossils, and the sets are marked by these little icons on them. And on your turn, you're allowed to move, put a couple of these stones out. One of these stones, either horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. You must end on a fossil piece, and you have to pay a fame point for every fossil that you pass, that you enter on the way. And when you land on a fossil, you get that piece. That's the basic mechanic of the game. Now, once a fossil is completed, once there are no more pieces of that fossil, a scoring round occurs. But the first thing that happens is the person who completed it is allowed to exchange any one piece for a piece of the same value? Yeah, for a piece with the same number of icons with another player. So you can use that to increase the amount of that particular fossil or some other important one that you're working on that you have. And then you score points based on the fossils that the pieces you have of the given fossil. And essentially, you score the total number of fossil icons you have times the number of fossil pieces of that fossil that you have. Okay. Then, if there's anyone who has no pieces of that fossil, they lose points equal to however many pieces the primary researcher, which is, I believe, the person with the most points from that. Yeah. The person who gained the most fame from it, who would be gaining the most fame from this particular scoring, is considered the primary researcher. If somebody has no fame, they owe him points equal to the number of fossil pieces that the primary researcher has of that fossil. And they pay him out of their total. So it's good to be on top, not just because you get more points to begin with, but then you also get whatever points there are from people who didn't collect any. And there could be ties, in which case that total amount is split. If somebody doesn't have enough fame, they just drop down to 0 or 1 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it's 0 or 1. But they pay. No matter what, the points go to the leader, even if someone doesn't have the points to spend. Okay, and the game ends when nobody can move. Now, at the end game, you count incomplete fossils the same way as complete ones, except no pieces are exchanged. Well, that's about it. That's the game. Very simple. Very, very simple. And all open, all out there. I'm not committed to these locations. I'm going to look and start placing that. Go through a few rounds of play, see what collects up. I'm not going to probably video the whole thing. And, you know, maybe come back at times. Okay, one quickie here. If you have any fame, you must move. And I've placed the first couple fossils. And if you have no fame, you may not move. In which case, you have to wait. You keep passing your turns until you get a viable fossil. Okay, so the first player is sitting in a position where everything around his fossils, everything he could move to for 1, or around the search stones, is sitting on a 1-point fossil. Now, 1-point fossils aren't particularly valuable. He could pay a point and grab one of those, or he could pay more and grab something else. Looking at the board, I believe what he's going to do is he's going to pay 1 fame and grab this piece. And that's how it moves. Now we go to the yellow player. And again, there's no real desire to get particular pieces early on. Yellow's also going to pay 1. You know, just reduce the cost as much as possible. Blue, well, we're seeing a collection of these. He could give a cheapie to that, and that's about it. Or he could move one of these and give a cheapie to someone else. He also will grab one of the same piece. Alright. Now we're on the red player, who says, ooh, I got a 3-point fossil I can grab for $1. Over to black. Black says, nothing great is available. I'm going to pay a point. Grab one as well. And finally white, who's left with almost no good options. Well, no good options at all, as far as I'm concerned, because everything opens something better up. And even for 2 points, there isn't much he can get. He'll move into this area. We'll come back if interesting decisions, or perhaps on the first scoring round. Okay, we've gone around a couple more times, and everybody's pretty much trying to maximize their own gain in terms of valuable fossils, lots of marks on them, versus minimizing the next guy to go's advantage. So They might give a bonus if they see something that they've got a collection for. And we're seeing kind of scattered. No one has real collections for the most part. Blues here. This guy's got a handful of these, which I think gives him a fair lead, actually. Because remember, these are multiplied. So if that thing closes out while he's holding the majority of them, he's going to get a big jump in points. You do want to collect your sets. However, it's hard to pass up on something valuable just on that basis, especially early in the game. Now, as we start getting later, it might be more and more important as your sets are beginning to develop to make decisions like, I want to develop this one. All right, let's push onward. And we have the first multi-point purchase about to happen. Red says, I want to get my collection as high as I can, and is going to pay 3 to increase with a 1-point fossil. Otherwise, everything's just been kind of falling out who can get what cheaply. Alright, well, Black says, oh, bonus. Look what I get, something I want. Kind of cheaply off of that. And then now White is left with having to think. And here we go. Yellow is grabbing the last of this set. Okay. Well, he's allowed to make a deal, as it were, to steal a fossil from someone. He'd like to increase his holding in these since they're being scored, or perhaps in the set that he already has a lot of. What he's going to do is just reduce this guy's holding in this fossil. Seems like the best move at this point. And now we tally points, and let's start here. He gets 1 point for green. Yellow gets 3. 4 times 3 is 12 points. Now, 1, 2, and 10. Blue gets 1 point. He gets 3, 5, 6, 7 times 4 is 28 points for red. 10, 20. What did I say? 28, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 28, so you should be at 47. We've got 2 people who have no points. They each lose 4, and red gets 8 more points. So white loses 1, 2, 3, 4, and black loses 1, 2, 3, 4. And now this fossil is gone. And if you're like me, you might want to put it together into a little puzzle. But that was his turn, so we'll be going over to the blue turn next. And that's really the play of the game.